NBC6, it put a Shreveport hospital on lockdown yesterday. Now police say a man accused of stabbing his mother may be connected to a murder in New Orleans. And the deadline is approaching to get the signatures to recall Governor John Bel Edwards. What's next?
And now, your Weather Authority forecast first, brought to you by Todd Shore's McClarty Ford.
Well, once again today, temperatures pretty close to normal with highs mainly in the mid to upper 50s. Out there right now, we've cooled quickly this evening in the upper 30s to low 40s. And tomorrow, expect lots of sunshine, a cold start, but a warmer finish as we'll see highs in the low to middle 60s. That's a quick look at your Todd Shore's McClarty Ford forecast first. NBC 6 News at 10 begins
now. From your community, local news that matters. This is NBC 6 News at 10.
The man accused of stabbing his mother and her co-worker Monday at Ochsner LSU Health is arrested. Good evening, I'm Dan Jovic.
And I'm Jackie Jovic. In tonight's top story, 27-year-old Sequoia Chapman is charged with second-degree aggravated battery. Police say Chapman walked into the hospital yesterday afternoon and attacked his mother and another employee with a large knife.
The hospital was quickly put on lockdown, but Chapman was able to escape. He was arrested around 1 a.m. Detectives are investigating a possible connection between that incident and a fatal stabbing at a New Orleans gas station happening over the weekend.
In the latest coronavirus news, bars and restaurants can stay open later in Arkansas. Governor Asa Hutchinson's 11 p.m. curfew is set to end tomorrow.
And he says he will not extend it. Now, during today's briefing, Hutchinson also said that Walmart will receive 10,000 doses of the vaccine next week.
The Texarkana Bowie County Family Health Center receives 500 doses of the COVID vaccine, but there's an issue. The city says they've been inundated with people showing up for a vaccine without an appointment.
We don't have the space for people to just wait in a line. We don't have the logistical staff to man a line, so we have to make appointments and go according to the list. It keeps everybody calm and gives everyone the space they need to socially distance. It's very important.
Vaccines are only available to people 65 years and older or those with a chronic medical condition.
Money Matters House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and other House GOP members were in Texas today talking energy. The group met at Enterprise Products in Houston and criticized President Joe Biden on what they call job-killing policies on energy.
I never envisioned listening to President Biden on the day of being sworn in, talking about unity. But in less than 2 weeks, wiping away tens of thousands of Americans' jobs.
Today in Washington, President Biden signed 3 executive orders reversing many of the Trump administration's immigration policies. One of those orders will create a task force to reconnect families separated at the border.
Mr. Biden is also sending an immigration bill to Congress proposing an 8-year pathway to citizenship. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy took to the Senate floor urging bipartisanship.
I'm not real interested in some sort of widespread amnesty. We all ought to take our meds and sit down as adults and senators in good faith, as all senators are, and try to tackle this problem in a global way.
Today, the Senate also confirmed Alejandro Mayorkas as the Secretary of Homeland Security. He becomes the first Latino and first immigrant to head the department.
Well, meanwhile, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy is lobbying President Biden for a smaller COVID relief package. Cassidy was one of 10 Republican senators who met with the president on Monday.
The GOP plan is roughly a third of the White House's and includes a $1,000 stimulus payment to individuals making $40,000 a year or less. Cassidy says they were not expecting a deal Monday, but thinks there is a bipartisan path.
The 10 of us were there to say it was possible, it was done, it is possible, it can be done, and we're here to commit to it.
Congressional Democrats have indicated they will not budge on the $1.9 trillion plan from the White House.
An audit finds Louisiana agencies were not prepared to work from home. The Legislative Auditor's Office found 56% of state agencies did not have a work-from-home policy before the virus outbreak, many reporting problems with equipment and connectivity.
The auditors recommended the Civil Service Department develop minimum statewide regulations for remote work, and the State Technology Services Office define what equipment is needed for telework. Well, the bid to recall Governor John Bel Edwards is falling short as the deadline approaches.
In United States history, only 2 governors have ever been recalled. Giovanni Ligi shares the latest.
We have, over 100 volunteers statewide that are still pushing every day and continuing to collect signatures.
The process started in August of 2020 after the petition was filed by two Eunice brothers. From the date it was filed, groups had 180 days to collect signatures. At this point, the number of how many have been collected is over 100,000 from only 7 parishes.
Well, I mean, your level of confidence kind of, it depends on where you are in the game, and right now we're at the end and we really don't know what the score is, so it's difficult to say that there's a high level of confidence.
Organizers are asking for signatures to be sent in to them by the 11th for validation and organizing. Then the deadline will be on February 25th, 2021 for the forms to be sent in to the Secretary of State's office. People say they have many different reasons for supporting the recall efforts.
All of us understand the perspective of really wanting to protect lives, specifically first in the pandemic. But again, the hypocrisy of this is when you close a church, but leave a casino open.
From claiming Edwards failed to lead the state after the hurricanes when the shelters were closed, to being responsible for small businesses shutting their doors and losing money, organizers say they have had support from both the Republicans and Democrats.
The best way to do what you can is to help the most people possible. It shows the people of Louisiana that we can come together under a common cause that can promote the efforts of the state in a positive manner, regardless of those political lines.
Giovanni Ligi reporting there. More than 600,000 signatures are needed in order to have Governor John Bel Edwards recalled.
If they're successful, an election would be held in March.
Continuing coverage for you now, the NAACP calls for a new election for the Shreveport chapter of the organization after the results of its November election were called into question. The group claimed ineligible votes were counted and requested an investigation.
Pastor Linus Mays lost his bid for president, and he's one of the people alleging discrepancies. The Election Advisory Committee chairman says the national office never contacted them for an investigation.
I made several statements that this committee would not have participated in any irregularities in conducting this election. We had no real dog in the fight.
Reverend Calvin Austin was elected Shreveport NAACP president back in November.
A new date has not been set for the next election. The national office will determine candidate eligibility.
Coming up, handcrafted artwork is on display focusing on a hidden history in the fabric of one Texarkana society.
Now we're taking a look at an initiative started by Mayor Adrian Perkins working to regain the community's trust. Todd?
Well, Jackie, we did see that mix of clouds and sunshine around the Arklatex today. Tomorrow, more sunshine and warmer temperatures. That warming trend continues Thursday, but we will see some rain Thursday. Details on that in your forecast coming up next.
You're watching NBC6 News at 10 with Jackie and Dan Jovic. Tom Warren, your weather authority, certified the most accurate forecast in the Arklatex. And sports with Wesley Boone.
6 more weeks of winter. That's the latest prediction from Punxsutawney Phil. Phil and his inner circle delivered the 135th prediction virtually this year without the usual crowds at Gobbler's Knob in Pennsylvania.
Organizers still made the annual celebration fun by piping in traditional crowd noise and even including cardboard cutouts of fans.
And now, your weather authority, Todd Warren, certified the most accurate forecast in the Arklatex.
Well, decent day weather-wise across the Arklatex today. We will see some improvement tomorrow and then even warmer temperatures Thursday. We'll talk about all that in a second. Meantime, local view of recent sunset captured near Sugar Hill, Texas by Lee Elrod. Thanks, Lee, for sharing that nice shot. And if you have a nice weather picture you'd like to share, post it on my Facebook page or website, or you can also do so within the Arklatex Weather Authority app. When you download the app, of course, when it's raining outside, the radar can be handy to see how long that rain could last or when it could begin. You'll have that at your fingertips with interactive radar. Shows you where the rain is, also where it's going. You can add a layer which takes the current radar and moves it forward an hour. Just one of the features available within the Arklatex Weather Authority app. As we are pretty much in between disturbances right now across our region. You can see this nice ridge of upper level high pressure extending up through the plains here. That is going to flatten out, move towards the south and east. Notice this big upper level low moving into the Pacific Northwest. We're going to see this system move across the northern sections of the country, and it's going to send some colder air southward into our area as the front associated with that disturbance will arrive Thursday. Speaking of cold, it will be rather chilly tonight as we'll see lows that will dip down into the low to middle 30s, thanks in part to the lack of clouds across the area. You can see the 31 in Hope as well as in Magnolia, 34 in Texarkana, 35 degrees in Shreveport. Notice with the sunshine tomorrow, nice warm up despite that cold start as we will warm up into the low to middle 60s across pretty much all of the Arklatex for tomorrow, as we will see that sunshine. In fact, let's show that sunshine to you with Robbins Toyota Futurecast, and you can see the quiet conditions as we go through the nighttime hours tonight. A little bit of a breeze out of the southeast. We will see the sunshine continue tomorrow. A little bit of an increase in the clouds over parts of East Texas late tomorrow with the south wind beginning to pick up. That's going to help produce more clouds tomorrow night. And then going through Thursday, watch the arrows get bigger here as that indicates the strong south wind that's anticipated. And you can see the wind shift. South wind ahead of the front, northwest wind behind the front. Frontal system by 5 o'clock, very close to Shreveport and Bossier City. This narrow band of rain will then continue to work its way through the rest of the region. Should exit the Arklatex here by, say, 9, 10 o'clock Thursday evening, and then will rapidly clear out during the nighttime hours Thursday night and kind of settle into a quiet weather pattern for a few days. Looking at the overall pattern again with this front, amounts less than 1/4 of an inch here as far as rainfall potential, so nothing significant as far as rain. And you can see that here's a disturbance which is going to cause that rain. Most of the upper level support up here. That's why we're on the bottom end of the precipitation associated with this disturbance. We have another little quick shot right there possible for Saturday night as another front comes in, and then we'll have to wait for this disturbance to increase our rainfall chances probably Wednesday night. Right now it looks like all rain, but we'll have to keep an eye on this system as it moves in Wednesday night, as temperatures will be in the 30s then for that part of next week. Meantime, your forecast for tonight is looking mostly clear. It'll be cold once again as temperatures dip down to around 35 for the nighttime low. Tomorrow, expect a nice day with sunshine, mild temperatures with a daytime high at a warmer 65. Your 7-day forecast shows the big warm up and lots of wind for Thursday with highs in the low 70s pretty much area wide. Again, that rain chance highs in the afternoon and evening depending on where you're located. Several days to dry out after that, and then we'll see more rain, a possibility by the middle of next week. And you can see the trend in temperature as we fall into the 50s for highs and 30s for nighttime lows. Dan and Jackie.
Thank you, Todd. February is Black History Month, and the Texarkana African American Committee is celebrating with an annual art exhibit. It features quilts and wearable works of art, once used for trade, recreation, and to keep slaves warm during the winter.
Heirlooms from local, regional, and national artists are on display in a Texarkana art museum. The value of quilting art has grown significantly over the years. Some pieces are valued at $150,000.
As the TAC committee approached me with this idea that each quilt be shown flat like a painting, because they are paintings in fabric.
It is art that we hope that will be passed on from generation to generation.
The exhibit is open until April 10th at the Texarkana Regional Arts and Historic Center.
Next on NBC6, we check in with Mayor Perkins' Commission on Racial and Cultural Diversity, examining the goals and any changes that have been implemented by SPD.
But first, here's what's coming up on The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon.
Hey everyone, Drew Barrymore is here in studio for Mad Lib Theater. Plus we have Talib Kweli and a performance from Nilüfer Yanya. It's a great show tonight!
Prompter.
Stephanie, I forgot to put in the CGs, the fonts for these folks. That is on me. That is completely my bad. If you could do it, fine. If you can't because of the time, I totally understand.
Yeah, because you pull them from the 6 o'clock and just tell what order they're in?
Only one. We only ran one soundbite from the 6 o'clock. And that would be Mr. Ratcliffe. But we need the mayor and the other person. So if you can't, it's totally cool. It's on me. It's my fault.
You're watching NBC6 News at 10.
It's been more than 8 months since Mayor Adrian Perkins established Shreveport's Commission on Racial and Cultural Diversity.
We checked in with two of the commission's co-chairs to see the work that's been done and the work that remains.
At this point, I think we're progressing very well.
Progress on making progress.
We're all here together, okay? I think the work has been good. We still have a good bit left to do.
John Radcliffe and Deidre Robertson are co-chairs of Shreveport's Commission on Racial and Cultural Diversity.
This has been a real labor of love. It's been hard work.
Established in the wake of George Floyd's murder, the group is tasked with addressing a lack of trust in public safety and inequalities in health care.
They're independent of any political arm, so they're able to, do their research and make their recommendations pretty objectively.
Several members attending the Citizens Police Academy trying to gain firsthand knowledge of how the department works.
I'm not going to say that they've all necessarily been receptive. Change is hard.
Robertson says, from her perspective, it's because an outside influence is analyzing officers' work.
There seems to not be much of a willingness to listen to people who aren't blue, so we don't really have an understanding of the lifestyle.
One of the things we're concerned about is what happens when a police officer engages in misconduct. We don't have a hard answer on that yet.
their focus lying mainly with the Civil Service Review Board.
And there's some problems once it gets there.
They've requested minutes of Review Board hearings for 5 years. Thus far, they've received 2.
Once we have that, we can actually look and see what they've done in response to the appeals of police officers from their discipline.
Ratcliffe feels within a couple of weeks they'll have recommendations from their report to present to the mayor.
A racial divide is not just on national news, but is right here in Shreveport, and we really got to overcome that.
Our goals, of course, is in the long run to make our city a safer place and a place where race is not necessarily determinant of the quality of life that you'll have.
And we'll have more on that on Saturday when you join us for our Black History Month special. Honoring Black History will air 5 p.m. right here on NBC 6.